Hello everyone, I'm Debbie Polachek. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to do a very simple card that's perfect for beginners, and it's going to be a Christmas card. All we're going to be doing on it is doing a few little techniques and mostly embossing. So the main reason to make this video is to show you how to emboss into details, so I can use it later on as a reference.
By the way, this ribbon is called,
like I said, we're going to be making a little card, and we're going to be using the Christmas Gleaming stamp set to make our card.
That number.
This is a sample of the card that we'll be making.
What this?
See, this is very simple, and this is all embossed. And these are ribbons that I have
3 of those
glued onto here, and I'll show you all the little details of how to make this. So anyway, so let's get started. Thank you.
These being small is a little bit more tedious, but it can be done. One more thing I wanted to tell you before I start making the card is that if you are new on stamping, it is very easy to make an order through Stampin' Up. All you have to do is go below this video, and there will be a link there that takes you straight to my store. At an angle. In my store, while you watch this video, you can just jot down the things that you think you want, and you can go in there and shop in that store for the things that you don't have. Okay, first of all, I'm starting off with a piece of very vanilla cardstock, and this comes in 8.5 by 11. I'm going to put it on the long side, and this is called a, but it cuts and it scores. You can cut with one blade, the dark blade cuts, and the lighter blade scores. So I'll hold my long end of this card, or this piece of cardstock, to 5.5 inches. And I'm going to cut it right at that 5.5 inches. And these make a 1-inch bow, 2-inch bow, 3-inch bow, and a 4-inch bow. I'm going to keep you just for your little sticks. The little extras over here out to whatever size you want to use. Just scrap the paper for these little extras and make 2 cards out of this. So that depends on you what you want to do. Then you'll flip this around and put it at 4 1/4. And then you take your score blade and you do that. Go ahead and score it back and forth. And what I like to do, since whenever time I do this, my score line is a little bit off, so I put it or turn it around and put it back again at 4 1/4. And that way, I have basically 2 lines there. This is probably going to take about 20 minutes or so to dry. And when I take it and put it together, go ahead and dry it with the dryer so we can get this done faster. A bone folder here. And I'll take this and I'll square this up in my hand. Lay this on my work surface, and then I'll just run that down there, and that screws it right in the middle. Okay. So that's our card base. Now this is called a Stamparatus. Second thought, I'm not going to dry it with the dryer because this is making it warp. It's not necessary to use the Stamparatus, and then we'll be back. I'll show you how to finish up the card. Make any color that you have of ink. So I'm going to use just a scrap I have of the very vanilla. And I've got this here, and it comes with these magnets. And these magnets hold that paper into your place. Okay, I've got this stamp and this stamp inside right here. And all I'm going to do is use some real red stamping pad, and I'm going to ink this up. Squeeze that down all around, then open it up. Now this could be used just like this. I don't have to go any further, but I do want to show you this in case you do have a stamping tool like I have here and you want to use it to shine like you would if it was embossed. Then you take, after you clean this off, you want to clean this off real good, because if you don't, your ink pad will start looking like mine. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover this up with water and then just wipe this off very, very good. I don't want to leave any water on there. A paper trimmer, if I can help it. And I am not moving this, and I'm not moving this, okay? This stays in the same spot. Because every time I put this in, I want to shove it up as far as I can this way and that way. And that way it ensures me that it will be stamping in the same spot every time. Then I take my Versamark, go ahead and stamp, put the ink on there. And I go ahead and take my embossing buddy. And then I'll go ahead and push that there. Now I can take my clear embossing powder and I can put it over these areas here. Now the embossing powder is stuck over the top of that red ink. Go ahead and put this back inside, funnel this back inside of my deal. Some people use coffee filters, and that if you like using that, that's up to you. I just don't have too much luck with them, but you try it if you like it, if you have them. Okay. Now I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to take a pair, if I had those tweezers that, I think they call them reverse tweezers. I don't have any, I have tweezers, but tweezers or anything to hold my paper while I emboss, or I can just even use my pair of scissors here just to hold it, anything to hold it so it won't burn my hands
So you can have
when I do it.
embossing powder.
Now
that
what
you
you're going to
would
do is you're going to heat up this tool all the way up to high, okay? And you're going to heat it up for a few seconds before you try to emboss. And then when I emboss, I'm going to try to hold it pretty close, probably a quarter inch to half an inch away from my area that I'm going to be embossing. And it's not necessary to keep moving it around. Some people claims it burns, but if you get it that close and you hold it long enough, yes, it probably will burn. But if you keep moving it some, not like you would a blow dryer, but like just lightly move it, it should emboss pretty quickly. But it does have to warm up fast. So when I record this for you now, I will knock the sound out so you don't have to listen to the sound. But after I warm it up, I'll show you in real time how long it takes for this to emboss, okay? Okay, what I was looking for is this red ink will get darker, and the embossing powder will get shiny. So when that turns shiny, goes from a sandy color to a shiny color, that means it's done. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this sentiment, and I'm just going to freehand cut that around there. I'm going to leave about a quarter of an inch or so around each one of my letters. I kind of like this because I think it looks real organic, and it looks very pretty to me. So like I said, about a quarter of an inch to half an inch around my letters. Okay, so I'm looking for smooth edges if possible. Then I have these, what they're called dimensionals. These are in the catalog. All these items are sold in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. I'm going to get 2 of these. These are the larger ones. I think they call the other ones mini, and these are the regular ones. And I'm going to put 2 of those on there, okay? And I'm going to lay those aside. This one, I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch all the way around this one, and I'm going to cut it, again, cut it with just my scissors. Freehand cut it. Okay. Now, they do have the mini ones. Like I said, that would be good behind here, but I'm going to see if this one will fit. Yes, it seems to fit pretty good behind here. Now, you can also cut these if that's necessary. Cut them in half. But this fits just fine. So I've got 2 behind that one. I'm going to set all that to side. Now I'm going to go back to my card base, the one that I made earlier. I'm going to take that, And I'm going to set up my Stamparatus. Now the Stamparatus, again, is not necessary for this, but I will show you in that in case you have one. Otherwise, you would just use a block and try to get it as straight as you could when you do that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and mark where my paper is. Okay, I'm going to remove this. The reason I'm going to do that is because I don't want to, just in case something's on my stamps here. I did clean them off, but you know how that can go. Sometimes you can leave little smidgens of stuff there, and I don't want any extra Versamark on there that will stick on my paper. So this one I did one high and low. I want to leave a gap in between these so I can put that string all the way straight up instead of behind it. So that's the only thing I'm looking for. Let's see. And I think I will again do it the same way. I do like that arrangement better. So I'm just arranging it where I think it will be. And I'm looking for the top and the bottom to be within the same line of that. Now if I was putting that on a stamp pad, sorry about my stamp pad being so dirty, I would try to line it up so my block is straight, so when I go to put it on my deal, I would put it at the edge of wherever I want it to be, okay? So in other words, I would put this where I would want it to be. I would put it as straight as I could. I would line my block up with the corner of the paper and then do that, and then go ink it and then put it on there. That's how I would do it, if possible. Now, you might need a larger block to do like this one here. You would lay it here, put your block on the edge, pick it up, and then you could go and push it right back down, okay? So that's how I would do it if I had blocks. But I'm going to do it on this. So I'm going to go ahead and arrange this here. Again, leave an area for my string to go up here. And leaving the area there. See, this line tells me that it's going straight up here. And I want to go down a little bit because I want to have some string here. And probably a little bit more string here. Kind of want to stagger things, okay? So that looks about right to me. This time I'm going to be using gold embossing powder. So here we go. Now I'm going to just flip my Stamparatus here, and I'm going to push all these things down. Now Stampin' Up! Advises you not to use these little thick pads under this type of stamp, but I do like to use those thick pads even with this. So that's up to you. You can practice the way you want to and see what you like. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my card. This card opens here, so I want to remember to put it right there. Again, push it here, push
Above
it there.
this video right
Not
now,
that
there's
it's
a
that
link
important
that
this
takes
time,
you
but I
to
do want to do
a
that.
way
Get
that
in the
you can
habit
make
of
your
doing
own
that.
stamping.
Now I'm going to take my
that will help
Stampin'
you get
this
everything
little
straight.
embossing buddy, they call it. All it is a little pack with powder inside or talcum inside. So if you wanted to sew one of these at home, you could probably do that. We're just putting powder or cornstarch inside of there. Okay, but they're very inexpensive. Okay, so that's ready. Now I've got my Versamark again. Now I'm going to go ahead and take all my Versamark and put it all over this stamp as much as I can, as well as I can. I'm going to take those, push those real good in the center, because if a stamp doesn't stamp well, it's usually in the center of the stamp. Okay, that's done. You cannot see this, so you just got to hope it's done right. If not, you could put it back in the Stamparatus and do it again. Okay, this time I'm going to take my gold embossing powder. I'm going to shake it all over this area here that I stamped. Okay, set that aside. Funnel hopefully back in the container, not in my lap. See that's where it was actually some embossing. That Versamark was still on my stamp. Okay. Move this aside. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. Same thing. Looking for shine, close, kind of holding it pretty still and waiting for it to heat up. It will shine, and then you can move on to the next part. Okay, I did miss a little bit of spot, but if I wanted to, I could go back and do that again, but I'm not going to really worry about that. Maybe I will. Let me go ahead and show you, see how that does. Go ahead and stick it right back in there, up on the top again. And this time when I do it, I'm just going to try to do that area there that I did. So that's on the inside of that. Get that little spot. Try to get that little spot. With the gold again. Okay, that looked like that turned out pretty good. If there was some extra Versamark somewhere on your project, you can, some extra embossing powder that didn't belong where it was supposed to be, you can take a dry brush, like there was a spot right there I didn't see, but you can actually knock it off. As long as you stay away from the stamp image itself, you can knock it off and with that dry brush. So I'm going to go ahead and reheat this up. Okay, I got it covered good this time. I didn't do it on the other one. And you can get red ink inside your lid, or you can put it on top of a block. Just push it on top of a block and you can have like yourself a little palette. Then you can take a water pen or a water brush. This has actually got water inside of it. If you squeeze it, there's water there. And what this does, you can pick this up a little bit at a time and add that color to your stamped image. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to put one side a little darker than the other, sort of like it's a painting almost. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now this will go on the other side of this card here, so this might be better to do on what they call a mat, so you won't have that color on the back. So now I'm going to just kind of pick up a lot more water and a lot less ink on the center of this on top. So I'm trying to give it a round look. I want a little bit of color, but not as much as I do on this side. Okay, the same with this one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll go on the outside and shade this area here. Then as I move away, I can add water to this puddle here, and that will make this color a little lighter. And you can go ahead and go everywhere with that. This is the kind of thing you'll have to play with yourself until you get it right. And usually this side will have a little dark as well. Not as much as the other side, but it will be darker too, because the object is round. So here I'm going to go back and try to get this a little bit darker on this side, on the bottom, and all along this side. I said this was going to be just embossing, and I'm sorry, but I cannot help myself. I got to keep going here. Okay, I'm going to squeeze a little bit of ink, water inside of that ink, trying to water it down somewhat. Then I can go ahead and go all over this with that. Now again, I'm going to go where it's drier and pick up the darker color. Dab that in there. A little bit in between. It's kind of in between. That's what the color here I want, is to be in between. Back to the darker, because I'm on this side, on the bottom, and work that out. Okay, this one I think it needs to be a little bit more color there. Now, I think I'll go ahead and put the red here too. It's not much of this is going to show because of the bow and whatever, but I'll put it there just in case it does. Okay. So that's my ornaments. We're going to find out if you like the ones with color or without the color. Now, that's that. Now what I'm going to do is take our multi-liquid glue, and actually I'm going to draw lines with a pencil as straight as I can on my cardstock, up and down. So I want my line to be in the center of that thing there. So I'm looking here, then I'm looking on the side of here to see if that's about the straight line, and it looks like it would be. If I want to go in and measure that, I can, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it with my ruler here. Now I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to draw a straight line over that pencil line I just made. And then I'm going to put a dot of glue at the underneath that hole of the ornament there. Dot of glue under each hole, and then a line of glue where that pencil line is. Okay, now I'm going to let this glue dry, because this glue, when it dries, it's like a glue dot, and my ink and my ribbon will stick to that without any trouble, and it won't ooze out. So that's okay. While that dries, I'm going to go ahead and these are free with your first $100 order of Stampin' Up! Supplies in my store. You can order inside my store. Underneath this video, it'll take you straight to my store. Okay, and what I'm going to do, never know if I'm left-handed or right. I'm going to put my ribbon on my right-hand side. Now, sometimes I do things left-handed and sometimes I do things right-handed, so I can't tell you which way I'm doing it. So if you feel more comfortable doing it the other way, you do it the other way. So I've got my ribbon. I've got about 6 inches on this side. And then I'm going to take it around here. I'm going to cross over the 6-inch side over the top of that one. Then I'm going to go all the way around, trying to hold my ribbon as straight as possible and tie it one time. In order to cover up this on the back, I made a little mat that's 3 1/4 by 5, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that to the back of this card. I'm going to just center this inside of here as well as I can. There's a border all the way around the edge of that. Now this could have been stamped and put on the front if you wanted to, instead of, and then that way you wouldn't have had to do this. Oh goodness. Now I'm going to take this is hot glued. The glue has all dried, and I'm going to take my ribbon. I'm going to square the edge off here, and I'm going to put my ribbon right on top of that glue and just glue that straight down to my card and press it down. Then cut it off at the end of my card. Again, take my little bows and I'm going to press them on that glue dot that I did that was right below each little loop. Next I'll take my backings off of my little dimensionals. Now this could be glued straight down. It's just the dimensionals do give it a little bit of extra something. With those bows kind of be 3-dimensional, the little sentiments being 3-dimensional makes it nice additive. And I'm going to just center that right over the top of this other one here. And that's our card. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.